Welcome to Forum 360, your Fusion PBS channel and Rubber City radio station. For over 50 years, the mission of Forum 360 is to support the diverse passions of people and organizations that make a difference in the community. My name is Michael Neuman, your host. It gives me great pleasure to present to Forum 360 Dr. Moshe Torem. Dr. Torem serves as psychiatry at Northeast Ohio Medical University. He is also the Chief Integrative Medicine at Akron General Medical Center. Dr. Torem has authored numerous articles in many books and chapters in the field of behavioral science, placebo effects, guided imagery, mindful meditation, hypnosis, and mind-body integrative medicine. He has also co-authored the book, Coping with Uncertainty. Welcome to today's program.
Thank you, Michael.
The topic of today's program is how to build one's immune system by linking the mind, body, and social environment to better health. A very, very important topic that we touched upon on our last show. Let's start today's show by please explaining to our audience, Dr. Torem, what is an immune system?
Thank you for that question. It's a very good question, Michael. Yes. Well, the immune system is a system within our bodies that is designed to protect us from foreign invaders, such as viruses, pathological bacteria, fungi, and others that could cause diseases within the body, identify them and protect us from them by eliminating them. So it is also a system that is designed to identify what is part of us, the cells within us that should not be attacked, of course, and those that are cells that are coming from the outside and are foreign invaders that could cause disease in us, like infectious diseases of either viral origin or bacterial origin. So that's the essence of the immune system, and it is there to protect us. And even if we do get ill, it's there to help us to recover from illness.
Speaking of viral or bacterial, I'd like to discuss a topic that is very familiar with all of us, from children to older adults.
Yes.
Seems to be a very bad flu season, not only in Northeast Ohio, but around the nation.
Yes.
In fact, I was reading that 49 out of 50 states have significant flu issues. I believe Hawaii is the only state that doesn't. And an interesting reading, 7 out of 10 visits to the hospitals and or a doctor's office are with flu-like symptoms. Seems to be very, very bad. Potentially, they say thousands of people can die from the flu.
Yes.
How could a strong immune system help? And even if you do get the flu, how can we take a flu that might last for 2 or 3 weeks into 2 or 3 days with the right immune system?
Yes, that's a very good question. The immune system throughout our lives is designed in such a way that it is to constantly learn, to identify who is a foreign invader that could cause us disease, and even if it does, how to eliminate it. So a good example of learning is what we do with vaccinations. So when we provide the flu vaccine to people, and I hope and believe that most people have taken the flu vaccine, even if it is not 100% effective, it gives us partial immunity. What it means is that it teaches the immune system to be ready when a virus invades our body, which is in this case the flu virus, and being able to quickly manage to mobilize the best response to eliminate that virus. So the immune system is constantly learning how to do that, how to identify these foreign invaders, say, oh, I know this one. I know the antigens on that virus from the vaccination that we received, let's say, 3 weeks ago or a month or 2 months ago and quickly mobilize a response. And by doing that, even if the person gets sick with the flu, those that were vaccinated, even if they get the flu, they recover faster and they have fewer complications. So even if it's not 100% effective in the sense that those who got the vaccination will not get the flu, even if they do, they recover faster and they have fewer complications, which is still a benefit.
Right.
But in order to do that, for vaccination to be effective, the immune system has to be in good shape, which means it has to be an immune system that's generally healthy and able and capable of learning this information provided through the vaccination itself.
Right, right. You know, you mentioned a number of times, obviously, that a strong and good immune system plays a really vital role in protecting from infections, from protecting from getting the flu,
Yes.
as well as other diseases. I think most of us know some of the ways, hopefully, to strengthen and improve your immune system.
Yes.
I'd like to get into some of the favorite topics that you have in terms of how an individual can help take control of their health, can help take control of being a healthier person. And by doing that, linking this back again to the immune system. If we can
Yes.
touch on some of those topics.
Yes, one way to approach it would be to ask the question is what strengthens the immune system, what weakens the immune system. So, for example, we know that people who get a good and healthy night's sleep on a regular basis, 7-8 hours of sleep, that they will have a healthier immune system, because healthy sleep at night is what strengthens the immune system. On the other hand, sleep deprivation weakens the immune system. So people who don't get enough sleep and have chronic sleep deprivation, their immune system is not as healthy and robust in responding. Other elements have to do with other habits. We know that smoking weakens the immune system. We know that a sedentary lifestyle is not helpful to a healthy immune system. On the other hand, regular physical exercise is helpful. We know that excessive use of drugs and alcoholism, again, weakens the immune system. And this deals with the whole issue of food and nutrition. So we know, for example, that eating real food, which is not processed food. Processed food contains a lot of chemicals that are designed to lengthen the shelf life of the food. Another way of saying it is to prevent the food from spoiling. But we have to define, what does it mean the food spoils? It means that other creatures, quote unquote, got into the food and started eating it as well. So what is the most common creature that does that? Is what we call mold. Okay, it's basically a fungus. So if we put, for example, bread, the good bread is the bread that if we put it in the cupboard, you know, not in the refrigerator, in the cupboard in our kitchens, and within 3 to 4 or 5 days we start seeing mold on the bread, that is considered good bread. Why? Because the mold is the fungus that's able to also eat the bread, and whatever is in the bread is not having a poison to destroy the mold. So bread that is not molding actually has in it a variety of chemicals that prevent the fungus from growing on the bread. You know the metaphor of what's called the canary in the coal mine. So on the old times, the coal miners were not sure if this is safe to get down deep into the coal mine, because there may be toxic gases there that would interfere with their safety. So they would take a little bird, the canary, put it in a cage, lower it to the coal mine, and bring it back up. And if the canary was alive, then it was safe. Well, the mold is like the canary in the coal mine. If the mold can eat the bread, we know it's good bread. If the mold doesn't eat the bread, which means the bread does not mold, there are substances in the bread these processed food substances, the chemicals that prevent the mold from growing, which means it kills any attempt of the mold growing in the bread. That's the kind of bread that's not good for us either.
Right.
Does that sort of fit and make sense? So it opens the whole issue of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Like what kind of food is good for us? Well, it's the best food is not processed food. It's real food
Mm-hmm.
that's not processed,
Mm-hmm.
which means it doesn't have any additional chemicals designed to lengthen the shelf life of the food.
Right.
So I just wanted to open that up in general about what are those things. So there are certain foods we know that strengthen the immune system and others don't. So for example, out of the real foods, we know that cruciferous vegetables are ones that usually provide more strength and health to the immune system, such as cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kale, collards, radishes, kohlrabi, turnip greens, and so on, red cabbage. All these are very good for the immune system in the sense they provide more strength and micronutrients for the immune system. And there are other foods that are not as good, but those that are foods we know that are good, garlic and onion are very good for the immune system. Blueberries, all the berries, blueberries, blackberries, boysenberries, raspberries, also very good for the immune system.
I was reading, and please correct me if I'm wrong, again, I did some research on the flu and things like that.
Yes.
Particularly in children, I think people feel that dairy is important and milk and cheeses and things like that. But I think some of the dairy products, particularly whole milk, will generate more mucus in children and hard to digest for children. So I think generally mothers like to give their children milk and dairy products, probably not the best to do. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, there are some people even who believe that people who have asthma, for example, chronic asthma that doesn't respond well to typical treatments, that one of the ways to actually find out whether they get better is to get them off all dairy products for 3 months. And if they get better, we know that one of the elements in those dairy products that they are allergic to causes them to develop this state of chronic asthma that doesn't even respond to regular medications.
Wonderful. Quick break here. I'm Michael Neuman, host of today's Forum 360 with Dr. Moshe Torem, and we are trying to link more of the mind, body, and social environment to better health, particularly in this very bad flu season. I'd like to circle back to the sleep, which we started a conversation with a couple of minutes ago. You know, experts say we need the 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night, and some of the disadvantages of not having a healthy night's sleep are, number one, impaired immune system, weight gain and obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, depression, and even if you're even with all of these facts, if you're still deprived from sleep, it said some of the symptoms are almost like being drunk. You're lethargic, you have difficulty concentrating, moodiness, etc.
Right.
You know, we take it for granted that we should get a good night's sleep, but very few of us do. In all your studies, can you give us some recommendations that you may have that will help the average person get a better night's sleep?
Yes. A couple of elements of that, and they belong to the whole area which is called today sleep hygiene, is that our brains, in order to sleep well, we have to actually shift our operating state within the brain from wakefulness to a sleep mode. So in sleep, the brain is still the brain, but it has a different operating state, and which we call natural night sleep. So one of the elements that's very important is the regular habit. Our brain loves regularity in our bodies in general too. So one element is regularity of putting the body in bed in sleepwear, which is only there for sleep. So people who walk around in sleepwear during the day at home all day long are going to have a harder time falling asleep.
Right.
Because it's not sleepwear anymore. For them, it's like home wear, so to speak. They walk around in it all the time. So one element is regular time that one goes through the ceremony.
Routine.
Empty routine, absolutely. Yeah. Empty the bladder, brush the teeth, take off the makeup, put on the sleepwear, and put the body in bed at a specific time every night. Whether it's 10 p.m. or 10:30 or 11, whatever it is, but it's got to be the same time. So you know the expression, bring the body, the mind will follow. What does it mean? Bring the body, the mind will follow. Your responsibility as an individual is prepare the body through the routine ceremony, bring the body into bed, and your mind will follow, which means the mind will know it's time to shift gears into a new operating state for the brain called sleep. So there are other elements too. One of them is total darkness, very important. Why? Because in total darkness, our brain secretes a substance called melatonin.
Sure.
Melatonin, very important element in order to induce natural sleep.
So total darkness, how many people do you know? I know a number of them that are in bed at night and they have their cell phones or their iPads on and they're playing games or Facebooking people right before sleep.
Yeah.
Is that light bad?
Well, it's basically that light means there is no total darkness. And if there's no total darkness, it's more difficult for the brain to create and secrete the melatonin, which is so important. Another one is temperature. Temperature typically has to be between 60 to 65, 67 degrees, in that range. Everyone is a little different, but in that range. So if it's too hot, sleep is not, going to be a healthy, good sleep at night. And if it's too cold, the same thing. Then the issue of sound, total silence, very important.
So no television as you're lying in bed?
Obviously, no television. Or some people like what's called white sound or noise.
Sure.
So like, a fan working, but in the same speed, in the same sound, it doesn't change. That also works fine. So these are the elements that are very important for night sleep. And you're right, sleep deprivation causes lots of trouble. Some studies show that sleep deprivation is the main cause of highway accidents, especially in long-distance truck drivers. It's even more so than alcoholism or the use of alcohol in driving. So sleep deprivation is even a higher factor in causing accidents because it impairs focus and concentration.
I'd like to discuss another subject with you, and it's really one of my favorite subjects, stress.
Yes.
They say some stress is obviously good for you, keeps you sharp and competitive.
Yeah.
Duke University came out with a recent study that says that physiological stress can take an incredible toll on the body, causing the following. Number one, weakened immune system.
Yes.
Increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, muscle aches, digestive problems.
Yes.
Increased sensitivity to pain.
Yes.
Allergies, skin disorders, etc., etc. Stress can affect the immune system like nothing else, making it not able to react to viruses or bacterial infections, and can set off allergies, skin disorders, etc. Short-term, stress can weaken the immune system. Long-term, it could create things like heart disease and can actually lead to death.
Yes.
I think we all know that, but I'd like to really discuss with you in some of the time we have left on ways to, and obviously life is full of stress.
Yes.
And it's getting more stressful and more stressful. What are ways that you can give the audience tips on terms of really keeping stress in check and actually turning it into a positive and helping it build our immune system?
Yes. Well, this is an
How's that
excellent
for a
question.
tough question?
Oh, yes. This is an excellent question. Well, you know, in a state of stress, there are two types of stress. There's what's called acute stress and there's chronic stress. So in acute stress, the main hormone that's secreted is called adrenaline. And one source is from the brain and the other source is, of course, from the adrenal glands that secrete from the medulla, which is the center of the adrenal gland, is where there's production and secretion of adrenaline. Adrenaline basically mobilizes the body, the whole physiological system within us, to do whatever it takes to keep us alive. So it's quickly running for our lives or fighting for our lives. So it races, you know, the heart and you know, provides more sugar for the muscles to work and so on. In chronic stress, it's not the adrenaline that does that, but it's more another hormone, which is corticosteroids hormones. So a good example is that a drug we use sometimes for treatment of certain conditions called prednisone is an example, which is a drug that's produced by the pharmaceutical industry and is used for treatment. But we know the chronic use of prednisone, as well as chronic stress for months and years, produces more corticosteroids, and they suppress the immune system and cause a whole bunch of other problems, such as those, some of them you mentioned, problems with muscles, the heart muscle, high blood pressure, and on and on. But they also weaken the immune system, which means that individual, when there is the flu or other, you know, infections, whether it's viral infections or whatever it is, exposure to salmonella in the food, if we have a strong immune system, just a few bacteria coming in, the immune system takes care of it. Somebody has a weak immune system, just the same amount of bacteria, salmonella as an example, are going to create a disease because they'll grow and grow and grow and create an illness called salmonellosis or typhoid fever. Okay, so yes, chronic stress could do that. What can we do about it? That's the question. Well, one of the ways is to recognize that we have chronic stress. In chronic stress, an individual has to recognize this first by how they feel. And that means to be able to recognize such feelings of helplessness. A sense of, I'm facing the same problems, the same situation, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Admission that there's an issue.
Yes, there's that as feeling of helplessness, which leads eventually to hopelessness. Meaning, not only do I feel helpless, and I don't find a solution everywhere around me, but also these people start to develop hopelessness, and there's no hope in the future that anything is going to change. So to be able to identify these two feelings, helplessness and hopelessness, is a very, very important skill, first of all. Once you identify that, the question is then, what do you do about it? So one of the typical things that one can do, talk about it. Talk about it to a friend, to a family member that you can trust, and hopefully you have some people like this in your life, and get some ideas. What are the other options? What else can I do? So one of the important elements is a mindset that says, I have other options. Here are my other options, and whatever I'm going to do now, I'm going to make it as my choice. This is my best option. So best option could be, I'm staying in this place of work, okay? But I'm going to make it as a choice. I'm not going to see myself as a victim anymore, that I have no choice, I got to stay here. But rather, I am choosing to be here, and I'm going to make this the best for me. So a change in one's attitude, very important.
And then from there, hopefully you get things like yoga, meditation,
guided imagery, mindful meditation, absolutely. Take a break, you know, every maybe hour, 2 hours, 5 minutes. Take a walk around. Take a coffee break. People called it sometimes, you know, a smoking break. Remember those days? Well, this is out of the, you know, we don't do that anymore. But a coffee break doesn't have to be a coffee. It can be a break, you know, to drink a cup of tea. But a walk around, you know, in the area. Sometimes, if you have that ability, close the door, have some privacy, and practice mindful meditation or guided imagery. Take yourself to another place where you can experience total calmness.
You know, when you and I talk, the time just speeds. We're just about out of time. Can you just give us a 30-second synopsis on building an immune system through a great support system, family, friends, things like that?
Yes. Well, it's very important that each of us identifies at least one person, hopefully 2 or 3 is going to be better, people that one can trust, people where one feels accepted, loved in that sense, and can talk about any subject comfortably without being criticized.
Right.
Yes. And that's an important element too, as
Right.
part of a healthy support system.
We've just touched on a couple of major points here. There's so much more to discuss. This week, Thomas Edison was born 170 years ago, and he said the future of medicine will be in the interest of the human frame, the interest of human diet, and the cause and prevention of disease. It is when we choose to take care of our body as a whole that our body more efficiently takes care of us. We hope this brief time spent today, you will get some tips out of how you can control your health better, how you can build your immune system, and really take the care for yourself in coordination with your doctor to become a healthier and happier individual. Thank you for being with us tonight.
And thank you, Michael, for allowing me to be here and part of this program.
Our pleasure. Looking forward
Appreciate
to our
it.
next show. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Acronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.